Today, whenever you're viewing this, welcome. As they say in the old church, we are so glad to have you on with us for He Said, She Said, God Said. It's an annual thing that we do at the House of Hope for our Women of Hope. Shout out to all the ladies in the house. Say, hey. All the ladies, we're so excited about tonight, and we've got some phenomenal guests. As you can see on screen now, you see their names, you see their IGs. They're all about talking about relationships, and I cannot wait to get into this because we're going to have so much fun tonight, y'all. So much fun. So I know what I need you to do. I need you to go ahead on and share this, like this. Let somebody know. If you're on YouTube, send it to a friend by text. We're talking about marriage. We're talking about singles, divorce, widow. Every aspect of marriage will be talked about tonight, and we're going to have a ball doing it. We've got, I know, at least 2 comedians in the house, not myself included, but we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a great time, so do that for me. So let me just introduce you to who we have. I'm going to start from the top with this guy with this gold on, with all these books and all this knowledge behind him. He acting like he didn't even hear me talking about him. He's hilarious. He loves the Lord. He loves his wife, his family. Just a great guy all the way around. If you ever want to have a laugh, go and get him up. We're talking about Pastor Jeffrey Fauntleroy. Pastor Jeff, what's up?
Namaste.
He took us back to Arsenio Hall. He's doing the woo-woo. And right below him, she is our staff pastor of the women's ministry. She's been going hard for the women for years, and we're appreciative of her, and we are glad that she's on today. She's a counselor. She's experienced in life. She's a mother. She's a preacher. She's a teacher. She's got a lot of different roles, and we are glad to have her on with us today. Would you all welcome Pastor Cherise Cross? What's up, Pastor C? How you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Glad to have you today. And then going back up, he's the man. I wouldn't say, I was about to say the legend. He is a legend already. He is it. And I want to give a shout out to I want to give a shout out to he and his wife. They just celebrated 10 years of marriage. They had it posted all on IG and Facebook. They look like Ken and Barbie. They're gorgeous. I was like, look at this gorgeous family, this gorgeous couple. And we're so glad to have him. He is over our youth and young adults at the House of Hope Atlanta, and we are glad to have him. Would you all welcome Pastor DeMarcus Smith? Hey, Pastor.
What up? What's going on?
And finally, but not leastly, but I love her. She is such a beautiful person inside and out. She is a faithful member of the House of Hope Atlanta. She does so many community things. Great in her profession. I don't want to tell everything about her because I know how private she is. But anyway, she is just an awesome person. Wonderful. Straight out of Savannah, GA. And we are so glad to have her today. Would you all please welcome Natalie Washington?
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here.
So glad to have y'all. Okay, so we're going to go on and get started. We're going to go right on in. We're going straight in. We're going straight in with the marriage question first, my marriage question. So the marriage question is, so we're going to talk about it. Why is it so hard? This is a male question to a woman. And and I didn't say this, we've polled and we've asked, these are questions from people from the House of Hope Atlanta and things that they want to know. Okay. Men and women. This is not just a women's thing, but this is everybody thing. Why is it so hard?
Ain't gonna be no male bashing, right?
No, we're gonna tell you how we feel.
You gonna tell me how you feel?
We're gonna tell you how we feel. So that's not male bashing or female bashing, right? We're all
But we will call a spade a spade.
Yeah, we're gonna tell the truth now. We're gonna tell the truth.
If the shoe fits, then you got to put it on. You got to put it on.
I got my tag team partner with me tonight. It's going down. Let's get it, Dr. Jeff.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. So the question is, why is it so hard for me to talk to my wife about us having more sex? Why is it hard for me to talk to my wife? We're going all the way in on the first one. So I want to hear from a man's perspective about sex. And we're going to ask Pastor Cross, since she is married and I'm not, and Natalie is single, but she has experience in being married. She's divorced, so she can kind of chime in on this as well about this sex issue. So why is sex so important to men? On our end, that would be the question. But why is it so hard for a man to talk to his wife about sex? About having sex?
Man, let me jump in this, man. Let me help the brothers out. Listen, first of all, brothers, you just can't jump into that conversation with it just being that. You got to express yourself and talk about, the things that are needed for you, what the circumstances are, and you got to ask questions about how she feels about the situation, and not just jump into it for because that's going to come up. That's going to come up because women have different things that are going on biologically, and they're emotional people, and you may think that, well, daggone, man, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Talk, express yourself. Listen, I'm around a lot of females that look very well, and listen, I needs, and my needs are, I want with you. I don't want to go outside of our marriage. And, I desire you. And I want to know, like, how can we get to this point? Like, what is it that I need to do that will help you get to that point? And then that opens up the discussion, and it shows a woman that he's concerned about her needs also. And it's not just about sex. And then more than likely that will open up a discussion about how she feels, and then what it is that she needs. Like, some guys want to get up in the morning and, go at it. And then some women are like, well, no, I'm better off in the evening when I've, done this, I've done that. So at least open up the dialogue and be honest in the dialogue, because that's your wife. This is your husband. You want to become one. So have honest dialogue.
Good. All right. Honest dialogue.
Pro tip.
Okay.
Man.
Who's next? Pastor Cross, you want to chime in?
I think that's actually a part of it, is starting that communication. So what were the expectations? What are the expectations? Expectations can change over time. I've been married 25 years. So our expectations have adjusted. Come on, somebody. Our expectations have adjusted. But as Pastor Jeff said, we have to communicate. My husband and I have communication, and we know how to communicate. But for those out there that may not be feeling comfortable to broach the conversation, because he said he doesn't even know how to talk to her. So if he's talking to her about sex, but she is rejecting him, so it could be a problem with him being rejected, feeling rejected. And then if men, I know this, that if we keep rejecting them, that is going to turn off. That's going to be a turn off, right? It's only so many times. And so I'm not going to want to come back. So before it gets there, or she has to learn a soft startup, and what I like to call soft startups, to have that conversation. Say, maybe tonight is not good for me. I'm not feeling well, whatever it is. Have that conversation, but let's connect tomorrow, because we do need sex. Sex is a part of connection. It's a part of connection when we are in a relationship. So talk about it, though. I love that, Jeff, that communication is a great part of it. But also, let's talk about what the expectations are. And expectations have to be realistic. So they have to be spoken. They have to be realistic. They have to be conscious. And they have to be agreed upon. That makes it a valid expectation. So it has to be those 4 things. And then if we do that, we can get it back. So it doesn't have to stay that way. Doesn't have to stay that way, but it does take time to kind of turn that back, because now we have developed a routine, a dance. You reject me, I
Right.
fall away. I go get on IG. I go look at the IG models. I start comparing. Don't come on now.
You
I
looking at the
start talking
IG
about
models.
my work wife a little bit more. Don't play, because we want to get our
Mm.
needs places versus at home, and so it takes a while to turn that curve, turn that rudder around, if you will. That's old Navy
Okay.
term,
And
but
when you open up that conversation too, you got to be open and honest and say, listen, I want to make this work. I want to make this
Mm,
work. So whatever it is that is stopping us from getting to that point, let's talk
Mhm.
about it. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's something that I could do
mm,
that is not pleasing to you. Or
mm,
maybe it's something that you think, that you're not pleasing to me. But
mm.
be honest, be open, and don't get crazy when something come out, like, well, if you brush your teeth more, I'll be all right, or something, I mean, I'm just saying.
Soft, soft, soft startups. Don't blame. That's what we don't want. We don't want to blame in these situations. It's already a vulnerable topic, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sharing my body with you, and I want to share
yeah.
it with you, and I want to make sure that we can do this. And so, if I hit you with, well, your breath stink all this. I mean, make it soft. How you gonna explain that? Let's talk about
Yeah, and
whatever it is.
don't don't do something out of sympathy, because it's not going to be real.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
No.
like all
Mm.
right, like, okay, let's
Here,
do this and let's get it
here. Come on,
over,
wrap it up. Wrap it up.
Yeah, yeah. Don't
Hurry
do
up
that.
now.
Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, real talk, man. We talking real, right?
Honestly,
I'm trying to help the brother.
honestly,
For sure.
Trying to help folk.
yeah. No. But have
Okay.
the conversation.
All right. Well, thank y'all for that. Those are good. Now, this is my next question. We're talking about, these are questions from women, both single and married and divorced, whatever. What are realistic characteristics that men want in a woman? Realistic characteristics that men want in a woman, or that you all love in a woman. What are those things? And I'll start with you, Pastor D.
Man, it's so many. If you're talking about just like a day to day, or you talking about like a woman as far as longevity, relationship wise, right? Um, I would say that for me, it was it's crazy because we just had the conversation today. Uh, and ultimately, a woman that challenges me from every aspect beyond just sexually, right? Because most men, most women, even if you look at today, people present that first, and then it's just like they lead with that, and then it's almost like, man, if
Mm-hmm.
it's hit or miss. If it's good, it's good. If it ain't, it ain't. And if it ain't, oh well. But ultimately, for me as a male, it's just being challenged in different areas, emotionally, mentally, uh, being challenged to the space where I can be vulnerable and safe, and maybe present a flaw and then step back to see what you're going to do with it. I believe most men are looking for that, because all the other things, man, we can get. And that's not to say anybody's easy. Women can do the same. But it's like, man, you're going to have to challenge me beyond what is common. And when you can do that, you can pique my interest in a different way. Oh, we got a vibe. It's go time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would say somebody who is first comfortable with themselves,
Mhm.
and then somebody who is kind, and somebody who I feel comfortable to be around all the time. I don't want to be around somebody where I have to think, or take a long ride before I get home and say, oh God, I got to deal with this. You know what I mean? Somebody who's comfortable, somebody who has my back, who I know has my back, and somebody who's not just after the bag that I hold.
Yep.
Somebody who's comfortable with themselves, can hold their own, and down together as a partner in building something together.
Okay. So when you say the bag, you mean money.
Yeah,
I'm
for
just-
instance, no. For instance,
I'm just
okay,
saying that
so
for other women who may not
in
understand
the
that
position
term.
that I hold, or
Yeah.
if I hold a position or something like that, I don't want somebody just to say, oh, if I get with him, I could get close to this, or I'll be seen because he's a public figure, he's this and that. Because at the time, I was a public figure, and my wife could care less. Quick story. So I was law enforcement, and I was attached to the Secret Service. And I never forget, man, I'd come home, man, all psyched up. The president would be in town. I'm around all these dignitaries, and I'm telling them about Air Force One and the president here. But man, my wife was like, all right, cool. But Joel's got homework, and I got to deal with Brittany's homework. And this dog has not been out. And I'm like, do you know what I just got finished doing? Like, hey, that's your job. We need to deal with this. I'm like, wow, okay, I need that. So, I realized that all of what I do, it's cool. It brings home the bacon, but it's about this family.
That's right. That's right. That's good. That's good. Okay, so we're moving on to our single ladies. So we can talk about, all of us can talk about this. One of our questions was, what advice do you have for someone who wants to date but is discouraged by this generation's Netflix and chill approach to dating? What advice do you have for someone who wants to date but is discouraged by this Netflix and chill approach to dating? So I can start with Natalie on this one.
You sure can. I love this question. My advice is to 100% be you, do you. When you're dating, you get to set the precedent for what you are willing to do and what you want to do and what you don't want to do and what makes you happy. And you can just weed out folks. Like, it's not what you are signing up for. And I mean, it's really about being authentically you. And I know that's so hard for some really young ones who really want to do everything that they hear their friends are doing. But when you get a little more seasoned, I mean, you really start understanding who cares what everybody else wants to be doing. I want to, live the life the way I want to live my life. And so, so my advice is 100% be you. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. It doesn't set up how you're going to live your life and the decisions you're going to make.
All right.
Can I ask a question? What is the Netflix and chill thing?
Oh my!
Man, listen, man. You start up the Netflix. You know what I'm saying? And you might not finish the Netflix.
Well, are you still watching?
You still watching. You ain't watching. It's watching you. Well, what I'm saying, I agree with Natalie. You know what I'm saying? I believe that as the generations change, the standards are different when it comes to dating. Standards are different when it comes to communication, just relationships now. It's more on a polygamy type vibe now, or a sneaky type vibe now, right? So I think
what?
Huh? What's say that?
He said a sneaky link. He said a sneaky link.
Listen, man.
This is all the terms.
Listen, I got. Let me educate.
Write it down.
Let me write this down.
Write that down.
I mean, it's just the sneaky link is just ultimately like you got a side piece, right? But realistically, with the generations now, it's like people are okay with being that side person, or people are like they take pride in that thing. Like it's got to a point where females are a lot more aggressive than males. Like they just like, listen, this is what I'm here for. This is all I want. You don't want that. Hey, it is what it is. And I'm not talking about like relationship. I'm talking about they just cut and dry. But to speak to what Natalie's saying, I agree where the generation has lost a tradition in the sense of like courting, dating, because it's just all about fulfilling what I want. So if I just specifically want sex from you, that's what I want. And if you ain't about that action, I just go find it from somebody else. Or if I just want you from a financial standpoint, yeah, Pastor Jeff, they gonna milk you, Doc. They ain't gonna just come straight forward. They got a strategy behind that, or vice versa. With you know what I'm saying, realistic. So I think that the standard of dating has shifted because everybody's all about self now.
Right.
It's just, listen, I gotta fulfill this, this, and this. So you're gonna be in one of these categories.
Right. And that's why it's important as a woman, and we talk about this, that you set your standards from the beginning.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to go in like, oh, well, he seemed like a nice guy. If this guy is telling you, this is not what I want, and this is what you want, you're not going to be able to change him into something that he doesn't want to do when he told you from the beginning. You set yourself up for heartbreak. So, you got to be confident. I just had a conversation with a young lady about this today, because she was like, I just didn't know what I want. She's just turning 30. She was like, I was dating this guy and I thought that it would be something different, but it wasn't. And, and I was like, well, you got to determine what you want, what you're willing to, what your boundaries are, what you're looking for. And if you don't see that and you want to be serious, then you got to just be like, it was a pleasure meeting you. And I think too, we have to dispel the myth that it's got to be a bad guy for you not to connect with them. You can meet a really nice, great guy, but he just might not be the guy for you. And it's okay to say, he was a great guy. You don't have to bash everybody that you can't be with. I think
I got a question. Is that true? Is that true? Like a guy can just be like just too nice, too good, and y'all females will really be like, hey, that's not what I'm looking for. Is that's real? Like that Mr. Nice Guy?
I like a nice guy. I like him. But I think what it is I think, how should I say? I don't know, but I think it's just preference. Some women like the bad boy thing, but you're not gonna, you can get a recovered bad boy like Pastor Jeff. He's been saved by the grace of God.
There's normally other things. There's normally other things that are going on with the nice guy. Like if he jumping from his own shadow, I don't feel safe and protected by him. Like there's normally a co-occurring factor that makes him undesirable. That's what I'm gonna say.
So the Mr. jumping from his own, he's scary.
He's scared.
He's either scary. That's gonna make you feel safe. That's what she's saying. You don't feel like if something popped off that he would be able to protect you.
That or he doesn't do well in certain scenarios. A lot of women like men who can they can take home to their family or be in the street with and be good. Like there's a lot of other things. Like he could be super nice, but he can't meet the other kind of expectations that you want for an enjoyable companion.
You need to be able to hug your mama and give somebody in the street a 2-piece if necessary.
Absolutely.
He can adapt to any situation.
Not that.
That's hilarious. Anybody else want to say anything on that? Okay, so let's move on to our next question. And this can kind of go for our widows and our those who have had loss in relationship. And loss and grief goes beyond just someone passing away, but it can also be in, the breakup or divorce. So after coming out of one of those situations, when is it too soon to move on to a relationship, specifically in divorce? How soon is too soon? And I'll start with Pastor Cross on this one.
So good question. First of all, I think it's important that, and I'm glad you mentioned loss and grief, because sometimes we think grief is just related to people who die, but grief can be related to any type of loss. And actually, divorce is a loss. It's a loss of a life, a previous life that I had. It's a loss of a role. It's a loss of a connection with that person, even families, even friends, community. It's a loss of a routine. It's a loss of a lot of things. It could be even a loss of the house, everything that we had. And so if I say, I'm leaving Michael this day, and next month I'm jumping in with somebody else, y'all need to stop me and be like, wait a minute, ma'am. Wait a minute. I have not processed that. Not processed that at all. Okay.
Ooh.
What happened? We rebound, right? We want to rebound real quick to show I still got it. So there's a whole lot going on within us when that loss is happening, and that's like any kind of loss. The first thing is, can I get back to my normal, what the normal was? And we're not going back to that normal. So we may be in that bargaining phase of that loss. We may be in a denial phase. You know, I may be trying to, okay, let me get back out here and see if I still got it phase, when no, I need to really understand what is going on with me. What's going on with what happened in this relationship, and how can I heal from that first? It's too soon still talking about your ex. Let me just break it down. When you're still talking about your ex, when your person you have reminds you of you snapping off on him or her because they remind you, if I can't his or her name and you don't feel, and you feel tight, or if you feel a little warm when I say her name, you're not ready.
Feel tight in the
Okay, you're
chest.
not ready. Tight, you feel warm, you're not ready. That's just the truth. You're not ready. And so take that time, process it. You may need to go talk to somebody. Come talk to me or somebody.
Yeah.
But process that first, and then say, okay, find out about who you are. And I love that, Natalie, and even Pastor D, y'all hit on it. Who are we? Who am I now? Who am I now? Because who I was when I married this person was a different person. Who I was in that relationship is a different person. And now who I am exiting out of that relationship is a different person. So I need to get a relationship with myself. How about that? How about I get a relationship with myself? And then I won't be tripping on everybody else and what they got going on, because I've now loved myself. I'm sitting up here now enjoying myself, acknowledging and knowing thyself. And all you'll get an understanding of who you are. So
That's right.
the Bible talks about loving your neighbor as you love yourself. How are you loving yourself? So maybe this is the time for you to just take time and go date yourself for a minute.
Yeah.
But one of them indicators, again, I've seen it done too. If I can say, or if you can't say your ex name and you feel a certain kind of way, you're not ready. Period.
Yeah.
You're not ready.
Yeah. You know, I've had that unfortunate situation. I dated a young lady. We were very serious, and we decided to break up only for reasons that, hey, let's take some time away and let's get ourselves right. And she started talking to another person, and this other person thought that she was not into him, and that she was still into me and wanting to reestablish what we had. And he shot and killed her, and that devastated me. And he shot himself, but didn't kill himself. But anyway, that took a lot out of me, and it took a while for me to just kind of say, wow, man, you know, because I had the blame game. Like, maybe if we wouldn't have separated for a moment, this wouldn't have happened. So as Pastor Cross said, you know, you got to take some time and work through all of those things. And lucky I did have someone to talk to and get myself through that. And, you know, for me, it was the blame game I had to get away from. It wasn't my fault. And before I could take on another person's life, I had to get that clear from my mind and my head, my heart. And thank God for being able to talk to somebody and be honest, man. Be honest. Again, talk. There's enough help out here that you can talk your way through some stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely. So good.
Most definitely. Okay, we're gonna switch role. We're gonna go into our family relationships. You know, we talk about our relationships, and we're going to talk about some family relationships. So how
that crazy uncle?
Yeah, right. So how do we create relationship boundaries with family members that we love? You know, and I know in-laws, that's a whole nother situation. But even being single, with your parents, or how far is too far? How do you create those boundaries where it's like, and this is one of the things, and I don't know if I've talked to Natalie's about this, but just because you're single, you work, go home, it's like, oh, well, you single, you can come and do this, or you can do it. Like, wait a minute, but that's my time. So how do you create those boundaries? And I don't know, not offend, or however, how do you create those and stick to them?
No.
Anybody?
Anybody, shut your mouth, period, exclamation point. Like, realistically, and once again, this is a conversation we had, but the ultimate answer is, man, bump offending you. This is me. This is my life. This is what I'm doing. And realistically, the moment you bring any outside person in any scenario, argument, he did this, I did this, blah, 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 whatever, then you've already poured alcohol on that wound. And now that you brought that third party in, fourth party, fifth, sixth, seventh, however many friends you got, the moment that they gonna be your fan, they gonna hype you up, they gonna do X, Y, and Z, and tell you leave that person, whatever, step out, whatever. But then the moment y'all back together, now you've got all 25 of them people looking at you crazy because you've exposed or you opened your mouth up when you necessarily shouldn't have. That's one of the biggest things that I learned, my wife learned when we were going through marriage counseling, stuff like that. It was just like, one, you don't let the sun go down on your wrath. Two, everything that happens between you and her is you and her. The kids ain't involved in that. Your mama ain't involved in that. Her mama ain't involved in that. Once you two become one, y'all detach from that. And as much as we want to go back to our comfort of the people that we love, we grew up with, whether they siblings, parents, whatever, realistically, man, what happens that's what we grew up on. What happens in my house stays in my house. That's how I grew up, and that's ultimately how I live. And whether you're offended by it or not, realistically, I don't care.
Thank you, Pastor D.
I'm gonna kick it like it is. TIE. That's real talk.
I understand it though. Yeah. Because you get everybody involved, and we all looking at you crazy at Thanksgiving because we're like, do you know what he did, and do you know what da 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 da? And if you put me in it, then you need to be out the door by that time. Now I got to. I can't recover. I can't recover from that. As a friend or family member.
Absolutely.
Natalie, did you want to say anything on this? Oh, I'm sorry, Pastor Cross. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you're deciding on sharing information with people, you really have to think about whether you want to be vulnerable or not to that person. Has that person earned the right? And that's how you establish where boundaries should be. If this person has earned the right, they've shown they can be trusted, they've shown that they can be supportive. Okay, then I may expose myself a bit more with that particular individual. But then on the other hand, there may be folks who they have also shown themselves, and you recognize that they cannot handle your vulnerability, and you can't share and expose yourself because it'll end up the whole family will know. Everybody wants to call and give you advice, know your business, talking bad about you, whatever. And it's because you didn't set that established boundaries. And unfortunately, we all have to get burned a time or two before we figure out how to best set boundaries. But that's all it takes, because once it happens once or twice, then you're like, oh, okay, now I need to be really careful. And I think that's how should I say? I think it's important that who we select as our confidants, who we select as our advisors, who we select as our friends, because those people are very close to you, and what they do or don't do with the confidences you share can be really impactful on your life. It could mess up your day. It could be very disturbing. So that's how I really think about boundaries. I really evaluate the person that's involved. And that's how I figure out where I should set the boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to talk about that. You got to talk about that and talk about it in a way that because if it's her mother, that's still her mother. So it's got to be a thing of, I think you should handle it before you go stepping in, and talk about it. Give her support in the process. Don't be coming, hey, tell your nosy mama to shut her mouth. That ain't gonna work, man, because it's that ain't gonna work. So talk about it. Or if it's a family member, you like Natalie said, you got to set some boundaries and be honest with it. Talk about it, and what goes on in your house needs to stay in your house.
That's it. But I would speak up to this new generation too now. When you look at, I ain't gonna say new generation. This may be all generation, especially when you talk about friendships. If you ain't got that boundary with your friends, and whether it's your homegirl, your homeboy, you telling them all this crazy stuff that's going on in your relationship, they low key be scheming on you now. So just as much as you giving them, this person ain't good. They doing this, but you also telling them all the good. They low key behind your back, just they got a whole plan going on. So I mean, them boundaries is 100. That's why I'm like, listen, man, it's me and you in this relationship. It's me and you. If me and you go at it, whatever, listen, I'm gonna go over here, you go over there, and then we're gonna come back together. We gonna have the conversation. But if I hear what happened here outside, we got issues. We got a problem. We got a whole problem.
But I got something to say on that, Pastor Cross. I think you may be the best person to answer that. I think we all live with that framework, but don't relationships suffer when people don't seek wise counsel? Everything's so private. We trying to handle it ourselves. Everything in this house got to stay in this house. Then we both not benefiting from wise counsel. How would you respond to that?
So there's a difference personally for me with wise counsel and friends. Like, if we go see Pastor Cross, that's completely different. That's confidentiality. That's a professional. I'm talking about the homies that you going to seek wise counsel from.
I don't want to hear that from
So, and even if I were so I like that though.
She's not a therapist.
Here's what I would say. Here's what I would say. First, that leaving and cleaving is a process. Let me say that first. When we talk about relationships, we think leaving, cleaving, this is automatic. It's a process. So that's why it is good to go to premarital counseling prior to getting married. Don't come see me 2 weeks before you get married. Don't do that. And y'all know I ask you at the very least 6 months. But even before that, don't even have a date. Don't even have a date in mind that you want to get married. Just come see me. Let's talk about where you are and where the other person is. Because where I am with my framework when it comes to boundaries, you may not be. And so we need to flesh that out. That's where we need to flesh that out right now. Am I ready? Am I ready to make this commitment? Because then we get into this relationship and you're not doing this and I did this and I'm still trying to grow. I'm still trying to learn. And that's another grace that you have to have though. Because you're both growing in grace. You're both growing. But also you're looking at family dynamics. So when I marry you, I'm marrying into your dynamic and you're marrying into mine. And we're coming together and we're now trying to create our own. So guess what? Your family got 10 commandments, thou shalt not, thou shalt nots. And so did mine. We have our thou shalt nots. Now what we have to do is come together and figure out what are our thou shalt nots? What are our 10 commandments? We may take 5 from yours and 5 from mine, or we may take 6 from mine and 4 from yours, and we're going to combine them and make our own. And that takes a while. It's not instant. It's not automatic. And even our friends and the people who are in our sphere of influence, we have to grow in that of, okay, I can't share that with Rod because Rod gonna cut somebody. Or he gonna tell me, let's go see the shoe models. Come on. Or if I tell her, she gonna tell me to go see. So I gotta know who I can share with. Honestly, you have to grow. We're growing in this thing. And that's a wow. Yes, sir.
They still stuck on shoe models. They heard nothing.
They
you
stop
said.
there.
Shoe models.
Y'all know the models. We
What's a
are
shoe
in
model?
Atlanta.
What's a shoe model?
You know.
I
And they gonna
don't
tell you
know.
what to do.
I'm from Texas.
Professional
They model-
dancers.
they-
Professional
They model
dancers.
shoes
Love.
at Macy's.
They model shoes, and they got
Oh,
them
they didn't
at
get them shoes from Macy's.
town. Atlanta is known for its famous shoe models. But
We're
anyway,
famous for shoe models in
come back.
Atlanta.
We're
Got
famous for it.
it.
Come on back. Come on back.
Got
We
it.
still
Okay,
try-
I got
y'all
it now.
still- Look at him. We're still trying to grow. We're still trying to grow, but here's the thing: flesh that out if you can on the front end. So then you're not trying to flesh that out, and it's still going to be some fleshing out. Here's the thing: just because it takes at least 3 years, so that first year, y'all not even understanding who you are. I think everybody, oh, I know him. I know everything about him. No, you don't. You don't know. I don't. My husband's a whole different man than he was 25 years ago, and he's changing even now. I'm changing. So our boundaries have to evolve, but I need to know what was going on in your family. You need to investigate that. Go see what's going on. What are the connections? How are they connected? Who is the storyteller? Who's the secret keeper? Who's the scapegoat? Who's all of these people? I need to know what's going on. You need to know that in my family. You need to know my tendencies to shut down or to yell
Oh my
or
God.
to
That
all
is
of
so
that.
good. That is so good. Oh, I hope people are writing this down. Honest to God.
boundaries.
Man, honest to
Boundaries.
God, that's some real stuff right there. That's gonna save your life. That's gonna save your life. Those who are looking to get married and relationships and stuff like, honest to God, that right there, that's gonna save somebody's life, man.
Wow. Thank you for that. So, okay, we're going to move forward to our single parents. So, one of the questions, and I guess we can all chime in on this, is when is the proper time, this for men and women, when is the proper time to introduce my child to the man I'm dating? When is a good time to do that?
Yeah. So my son was my oldest son is from a previous relationship. And I think he was 5, and I waited a moment, and we went out. I think we went to a museum, and I said, I think this would be a good time. You know, I'm taking my son to a museum. Let me take her along and see how those dynamics are, and it was well. It was well. It worked out well. And I knew she was comfortable around him. He was comfortable around her. What I was uncomfortable with was baby mama drama, and I didn't want to have her exposed to the craziness that was going on with that. So that's where my hesitation was. But as far as my child and her, I did ease into it, but I found something that was interesting to him, and I wanted to see how she would adapt to that kind of situation, in knowing that, hey, these are the things that I do with my son. So, are you up to this? Are you cool with this? Because she might have said, oh, this is corny. I ain't doing this, or, I ain't down with that. So that would have been something to look at. You know what I mean? So it was a test to see how everything was going to work out. And, again, I was more cautious of the baby mama drama or as cautious of the baby mama drama and the exposure to my child. But it wasn't too long.
Okay, that's good. Okay. How long is too long? How long was that time frame? Like 3-6 months?
It was let me see. I think it was just about 2 months. No, about a month really, cuz when I realized my comfort level with her, then I knew that she would be okay with him.
Like,
But it was a
you mean
comfort level that I felt.
like your
But
comfort
this
level
was just
being,
y'all going to the museum or whatever you were going to.
No,
It wasn't like an
I
official meeting.
right. No. It was once
Okay.
I established a comfort level with my wife to be at that time,
Mhm.
I felt like, okay, she's cool. I feel good with her. I've noticed some things in her that I think will be okay. Now let me
yeah,
see if I'm correct in what I'm thinking. And once I saw that, I was like, all right, cool, we good.
Okay. So the follow-up question would be, do you think it's good to kind of do that quicker than later, depending on the situation? I'm just trying to bring
no.
some clarity to some
I,
people.
Yeah,
So
I think you got to
I
have a
think,
comfort level with the person first.
yeah.
okay.
I mean, I think if you, because you also got to take into consideration the child, right? I'm
Hmm.
being with kids and students where you don't want to introduce them to all these different people
Right.
coming in and in their lives just because you dating them for a week or two and boom, this is the new boo or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Well, because it can be detrimental to the child,
Hmm.
and
Right.
then not just that, but the patterns that you're teaching them at that age or whatever stuff that they'll carry on, going forward. So
Right.
I definitely think, like, I listen to Pastor Jeff. It sounds like, man, you're learning that person, you picking up on vibes, little things that they may say when you drop teasers about kids. They already know you got kids, or whatever. So, and even possibly seeing them around kids. My sister, who was a single mother, when she got back into the dating game, one of the conversations was, well, have you seen this person that you kind of vibing with? Have you seen them around kids? Not what you hear them say, but have you seen them around kids? Not once, but a few times. Seeing and just kind of peeping game. You ain't, you just watching, just seeing what's going on. And at that point, you just kind of get that vibe, like, all right, well, I think it's time to introduce you, and even the whole approach on the introduction, because I've heard most people say, this is my friend. We ain't jumping
Mhm.
straight into that. This is my friend. Just wanted to introduce y'all X, Y, and Z, and they might go shoot ball or whatever. I
Yeah.
think that's even what my mom's did when she started dating my step pop. She think it was it had to been like 2-3 months before we first met him. But as a teenager, you heard the murmurs that your mama, she got a little booski out here, but who he is, you know what I'm saying? Who this dude talking to my mom? But like the way that she introduced it was smooth. It was just like she peeped him out, she felt him out, and then, like, when we chopped it up, I think I was in middle school, man. It was like a good little vibe initially, but it was time. It was stuff. She saw him with other kids, other teenagers. She did like a little investigation or had conversation, drop little statements here and there just to see how he was going to respond. And once the vibe was right, he been my step pops ever since.
Yeah, I think you get to the point where you feel as though, okay, this might be the one. This might be brown sugar. So okay, let's do this.
Oh, go ahead, Pastor Jeff, with it. With the
I'm
brown
just
sugar,
saying.
yes.
I'm just saying,
Triple OG.
she might be the one. So let's go ahead all the way.
Okay. Anybody else want to add anything to that? Y'all like, no, we ain't got nothing to say after all. Y'all like, we good over here. We good over here. Going back to the single women, and this is a question from a men to single women, I guess. So why do women feel initiating contact with a man is pursuing a man? Why do women feel like the man has to do everything? That's the question. So I'll start with you, Natalie.
Why do we feel like initiating contact is pursuing a man? Because it is.
Yeah.
That's why we feel that way. Initiating contact. What is it? Are you ordering pizza? I don't understand. Why are you reaching out to the man? if you're reaching out to him, you're reaching out to display your interests, to ask him out, to strike up communication. There's a why behind it, so that is the pursuit. And as Pastor D indicated earlier, I understand, women are much more aggressive now. And so many of them are, as I, let you know that it ain't me.
She like, it ain't me. I don't have to do that.
That, they are reaching out and they are in pursuit. But I guess it is all about personalities and the expectations that you have for the interaction, the dating, and if it gets to a relationship, the relationship. And my preference is just to see that he strikes up interest and that he makes an effort to plan a date, and then I'll exchange. Then I'll plan dates, and then it can go forward as an equal exchange. And I know a lot of women don't even agree with that aspect of it. But I like to see from the very beginning what his intentions and objectives are. That's why I want him to reach out. I want to see why you're making these moves, sir. What is your goal? And then we can have other discussions. But when I initiate, I'm in the dark on his motives, his intentions, his goals, his objectives. And so that's why I fall back on that. I don't.
Okay. I was just telling a friend, one of my friends, he and his wife are married now, and she told the story of how they got together. They were at work, and she had already peeped him and thought that he was a nice looking guy, and he really was mesmerized because he called me and was like, oh my God, I love her so much. Da, 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 da. But he was really, I guess, kind of scared to talk. So I don't know what he was thinking. You know how dudes be, how y'all talk to us, and then when you get when it's game time, y'all get all nervous and stuff. So anyway, I guess she knew that he needed a little initiation. So they were talking. She said it was a group of them, and he was telling her places. She was new to the area, to Atlanta, and he said, well, you should try these places. They were just suggesting food places, right? You need to go here and make sure you try this and make sure you try that. And she said, well, why don't you just take me there to him? And he was like,
she fell for the crowd.
She was like, okay.
That was strategic.
He told you
that was smart. That guy was smart.
No, he didn't do nothing. He was shocked that she said it.
Nah, that was game, Maria. Maria, that was a plan.
You know what I'm saying?
So anyway, he felt like she gave him the okay. He said that he wanted to talk to her, but he didn't know where she was, who she was dating. She's just a beautiful woman. He was like, I didn't know, but she threw that out to me, and I was like, bam, yes, thank you. Yes, I can take you. When you want me to pick you up. And he planned a date and everything. So, I think it's all about, and I think we're kind of scarred from the whole Nikki Parker, with that whole, what's the show where Nikki Parker was on, with Kim? What was the show with Professor Ogilvy? And she's just with Monique, and she's running behind him and But sometimes a dude might need an assist. Like she gave him an assist for him to come in and dunk it.
And not even an assist, showing that you're available. You have to let a man know that you are available and are open to the conversation. Don't let these tough guys fool you. These men are scary, and so they need to know they can avoid rejection. Those are pure facts. Y'all can't.
So that's where we're going with this now, huh? Wow.
They need to know this is safe. Approaching me is safe. It's okay.
Come on over. Come on.
Hey, no, you know what?
Then we can move on.
No, you know what? Natalie, let me tell you something. That's good stuff, because the first time I approached my wife, she gave me this I was like, hey, so, she lived in Philly. I was in New Jersey. I was like, hey, I'm on my way to Philly. You know what I mean? I'm there all the time. So where you stay? She's like, oh, around so-and-so, where so-and-so is? I was like, yeah, right around there. I was like, oh, around there. No address. Oh, okay, cool. I'm good. then, she would come down and I'd see her out and we'd hang out and I'd make sure she was good, this, that, and the other. But I ain't say nothing because I was still basing on when I, knocked on the door, you were like out back talking to me from around the corner. So, another time I saw her and it was like, Jeffrey, I was like, oh, what's up? So that was an open door. So I was like, should I go back to this door again? Because it's like, so what's the signal here? So I'm like, okay, this is a different tone. Yeah, the door was open then. So I was like, well, let me go through this door and see if I'm really okay. But no, Natalie's is right.
No,
yeah.
I ain't agree with that.
No, she right, man. She right. We need the signal of if it's okay to come in.
Absolutely.
I get that part, but it's all game. It's sometimes we aggressive. Sometimes we hit you with the shy guy. You never know. At the end of the day, they together, ain't they, Lorraine? They together.
They are.
My boy, he playing that. Shy guy, you ain't even know you was a part of the plan.
That's what y'all want to believe. Okay.
Tell me, man. Game.
That is game.
Sometimes we gotta play the scary role. Sometimes we'll hit you with the timid, like, hi, how are you?
Wow.
Oh my God, so extra.
But guess what happened?
All right. Stop.
I'm teasing. I'm
Not
She ain't lying. She ain't lying. Some of y'all jokers out here real nervous, yo. I ain't gonna even lie.
Yeah, like I be wondering where your backbone is, brothers.
They do be intimidated. I ain't gonna lie. She was right. But sometimes it's
like brothers got to stand up, just be like, hey, what's happening? What's going on? This is what I'm trying to do. You down with this? If you're not, okay, cool. I understand. Maybe we can ease into this. You know what I mean? But let's at least get together and try and see.
Hey, man.
Yeah, I read somewhere that nobody wants a partner without confidence. And I was like, that's absolute truth. And so if you're showing me off rip that you lack confidence, then I'm not interested at all. Like everybody, men want women with confidence, women want men with confidence. Right. It's just essential.
Sure. Absolutely.
I told you, you want a man who could hug your mama and give a Negro a 2-piece if necessary. To the throat.
Hey, you know what?
Oh my God.
Well, I keep a couple unsaved partners around now.
You keep them around. This is hilarious. Okay, this is a marriage question really quickly. While you're married, how close is it? How can you be friends with someone at work when you're married without crossing the line? Like, how far is too far? Like, with you talking after work or whatnot, how far is too far when you having a close relationship with someone you work with? And I'll start with Pastor Cross on this one. If you gotta ask, then you go too far.
You gotta, okay, let's talk to the work wives and work husbands out here. For all your work wives and
work wife and work husband.
Oh yeah.
Those are real people.
They're real people. They're real people.
I ain't never had no work wife.
Because we spend the majority of our time, and not now, a lot of us are working from home. And so it's kind of shifted. And even for some people, you still do spend a lot of time with your coworkers. And so you develop that connection, and you guys are working as a team, right? Mm-hmm. On projects, on a lot of things. You have discussions about what's going on in the workplace, everything. Y'all share a lot of things. And so if my spouse is uncomfortable, first we need to have that conversation about why they're uncomfortable. Are they uncomfortable because it's just an insecurity in general, or do they see something that I don't see? Or another thing, if I have to hide conversations, here's when you know it's going too far. If I'm hiding conversations, text, if I'm sneaking in the bathroom texting you and showing you stuff that I cannot show, or I cannot show my spouse, or if they need to see it, or if they wouldn't be able to see it and I got to delete it, if I got to delete conversations,
That's it, right?
you know you didn't went too far. Come on, somebody.
I
If
agree
I,
with that.
Yeah. that's-
honestly,
Yeah.
so
yeah,
if it's not,
yeah.
if it's not strictly platonic, okay,
Yeah.
and then at some point there still needs to be a respectable cutoff even after work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we can share memes and we meme it up. I'm working in a predominantly
Yeah.
male field. I have for the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years. So I work with mostly men preachers. I'm working with preachers all day long, but you will never catch you can't catch one preacher who got a picture of me anywhere on their phone. You won't
Oh
see
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
They don't have a text
Yeah.
from me saying cute or any of that. You can take that to the bank,
Yeah.
baby, because I don't engage like that. Now it's gonna be some crazy memes. You can catch those. I send them to you.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
know, we gonna-
Sharice, you know, I text you some funny stuff sometimes.
Listen.
You know, and it's like,
Listen.
and the first thing I'm thinking about is, hey, if her husband get this phone, I want him to know that, you know, hey, we just joke, you know me, you know what I mean? And even with my wife, you know, I tell her about my people at work. And my wife knows them. They talk beyond me, you know.
That's
so
right.
yeah,
We
if
pray
you go
for her, too.
sneaking, huh?
He
All
said,
the time.
We pray for her
All
too.
the time. All the
Oh,
time.
please do. Please do. She needs it. Listen, Sharice, if I look at my phone and I go, psh, this guy, and go,
This guy.
and go
This guy.
that's a little
Listen.
private. But if I'm
Yeah.
sneaking away when that person calls
Yeah.
because I can't talk
Yeah.
to them in front,
Sure.
yeah, you got a problem
No.
there. You need to be open about that work relationship stuff. You know what I mean? And it
That's
needs to be some cutoff. Because there's females that I interact with. I call Dr. Mitchell. I call Sharice. I call Pam because we work together, and then we also laugh together. You know, I know Pam likes dog stuff, so she'll text me about some dog stuff. I'll text her about some dog stuff. You know, it's just some crazy. You know, I'll hit Sharice up about something, and we laugh. But I know the limits, like time limits, stuff like this.
Yeah.
Or if we're working on a project, you know. We get texts on the weekends that somebody needs some help with, and it's like, okay, hey Sharice, you do this, I'll do that, or you do this, I'll do. So we communicate, but our spouses know what we're doing. And let me tell you, Laria, you hit something there because Pastor D, Natalie, y'all know this, or if you don't know, there is such a thing as a work wife and a work husband.
Mm-hmm.
I've personally never encountered that before. But
That you know of.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I would never
I
be that to
with Pastor Cross.
And-
you get to a space where you got to flip your phone over, hide, go disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Then clearly you're going too far. But I would take it a step further. I think anybody that is in a relationship, whether you're married, you're dating, or whatever, you have a respect to that person. You have a respect to that person to be bold enough to cut certain conversations off when they first start. Everybody knows when people, you know, kind of like testing the water. And I think everybody also has to be bold enough to be like, hey, hold on now. Come on now. Like we can chop it up here at work as friends, etc. But you already know I'm committed to such. You already know I'm dating. You know I'm married. And at that point, people gonna let you know whether or not, you know, all right, well, I'm gonna keep testing this water or not. And at that, I mean, for me, that's ultimately how I've always been with chat. Like, if I recognize that a female is pressing, you know, I'm gonna cut it off. But then I always go home because I'm like, listen, you gonna hear it from me first. Hey, this is what happened today. Listen, she tried me. I cut it off because you don't know what type of ulterior motives people have.
That's
man.
true.
People be acting up, you know.
Yeah.
So
that's what I told my wife when Janet Jackson was texting me. I was like, hey, look, I need you to know now. All right.
It was not.
I told Jack
trying.
same thing when Rihanna.
I'm trying to
Good
stop
night.
this
Good
before
night,
it
everybody.
becomes.
Oh, Lord.
Oh,
I told wifey the same thing. I said, look, Rihanna pregnant, it ain't mine. But you know, I just want to come to you now, so you know.
Let you know.
Tell you.
Because you know she was hitting me up on IG trying to get in my DM. And I'm like, Janet,
I
what
agree
I
with
can
Pastor
do for
D
you?
though. Make sure you nip that in the bud, because it is the onus is on you as whoever you're talking to. I do not ascribe to blaming people who because we have to again set that boundary. You're in the
Yeah,
relationship.
you got to set the boundary.
So
Yeah,
you
set
have to
that boundary, man.
And
that's out of respect for your spouse.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I was gonna say too, as single women, we have to be respectful of the men that we work with, because things can come across the wrong way. Like you texting somebody at 9, 10 o'clock that's a married man, that shouldn't be happening, even if y'all are cool like that. Because, and even if, I know he's up. Well, what if his wife is there? That puts some sort of doubt maybe in her mind. You don't know the security of the relationship, so just to stay out of that, just, send it in the morning if it's something to do with work or whatever it may be, just to keep those boundaries fresh and to keep yourself, where you need to be. Don't do that.
Yeah.
One thing, Laria, if you feel the need to share with that person and not your spouse, so you now decided, okay, this is the person I feel safe with to tell these things, and I can't tell my spouse, that's a red flag. We didn't get into red flags, but that's a red flag. That, I'm now telling you more than I'm telling my spouse. And that's a red flag, that I'm now getting my need fulfilled. And you could ask yourself, why am I having this need fulfilled with this person and telling them these things? So, it could ease over. So you got to check yourself when you wreck yourself.
Most definitely.
All right.
Well, y'all, we have run out of time. We've covered a lot. We have done a lot. We talked about a lot. We done found out about Rihanna and Janet, texting Pastor Jeff and Pastor D.
Wow.
Oh, did she see your sermon, Pastor D? Did she enjoy the word that you brought forth?
I'm trying to introduce her to the Lord. She decided to date another guy. But it's all right. It's all right.
Janet said,
if it don't work out.
Janet said she liked the way I was giving them boxes out to people. I was doing it with finesse. She said, I like the way you give food out to people.
Oh, don't talk about.
I'm glad you flee from that temptation. I'm glad you did it. I'm glad you did.
Oh yeah, I'm a man. I'm strong. I'm strong in the Lord.
That's who we are. That's who we are.
That's your
I'm
heart.
devoted.
I can't.
Your heart. Wow.
This is hilarious. Y'all are amazing.
I love the Lord.
Yeah, we know.
He heard my cry.
We know you do. But we are so grateful that you guys.
And I'm afraid of my wife.
Yeah,
that's
you need to be. You better be. But we are so grateful that we had this time. We're going to have to do it again. And of course, we do it every year. But I hope that we have some more panels and formats like this to talk about different things and to hear from both sides of the, because sometimes women talk to women and men talk to men, but it's good to have that interaction. I'm not saying that we're spokespeople for everybody, but it was some great dialogue here tonight. So grateful to Natalie's Washington. Yeah, Natalie's, Pastor D, DeMarcus Smith, Pastor Jeffrey Fauntleroy, Pastor Sharice Cross. We are grateful that you all tuned in with us tonight. And we hope to see you soon. Make sure you watch us on Hope TV and at the House of Hope Atlanta, where we got it going on, right? With the best pastor ever, Dr. E. Lewis.
Hey.
Love you guys.
Yes, sir. Great job, Laria. Great job, Laria.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.